Spiral Skies, Blues for a Dying Planet. 9 tracks, 38 minutes. The debut album, the Swedish 5-piece, released May 2018 via AOP Records, produced by bassist Erik Sandberg, recorded at Studio Radio Skugga in Stockholm. Yeah, that one. Oh, yeah. That old chestnut. 2 promo tracks have been released so far. The Wizard's Ball and Dark Side of the Cross. Go for it.
What do you know? Another Swedish rock band.
We've done a few of those this year.
They are everywhere.
Well, no, they're in Sweden, but there's just a lot of them.
I really like this album. This was cool. Classic 70s sound and nostalgic without being a clone. They're not, like when you hear like a band like Wolf Mother, you sort of go, oh, yeah, I've heard that kind of thing before. This was still really original, but had that vintage feel to it. Yeah. Psychedelic kind of stuff, but not wanky. It was really, really well done. Mm-hmm. It took characteristics from like some symphonic metal and stuff that I really...
A little bit, yeah.
The aspect of the symphonic stuff that I like, and they've blended it with a classic rock thing, and they've got a folk melody sort of in a lot of parts, and came up with something that was really refreshing and interesting to listen to. I really did enjoy it. Because at times I'm getting Jefferson Airplane, and at times I'm getting Rush, and then I'm getting a bit of Nightwish, and then some Sabbath, and it was a really cool thing to...
Good melting pot.
Yeah, it was great. Frida has a great voice. They've saturated the sound with a lot of reverb and delay, but it just sits really nicely with the music and everything going on. Really nice use of falsetto and stuff as well that really add to, the layers of atmosphere they were building up. And really nice overdriven guitar sound. Really clever shifts in rhythm throughout the whole thing that really keep you hooked. Compositions were great. Every song had its own feel and everyone had its own little journey, and it was just really good. I'll be curious to see what everyone thinks of it, actually. Because I think it's quite a unique thing. I might polarise some, but for me, I thought it was great. Classic rock, but with a real modern edge that I think will certainly pull an audience in. I'll be spinning this one for a while. I loved it. Gave it 8 out of 10. The highlights were Labyrinth of the Mind, Dark Side of the Cross, The Wizard's Ball, Left is Right, and Right is Left Behind.
Well, there you go. For me, this was a brand new band that I'd never heard of before. So apparently they tout themselves as a psych doom band, which is also something I have to admit don't think I've ever heard before as well. There
we go. You do one episode and you're getting education.
Well, that's the whole thing. So a lot of these times that we're reviewing, I've never heard half these bands before, but loving it. This one especially. Personally, I think they're very hard to categorise because there's just so damn much happening here. And there's so many styles, influences here and there. You don't know what's coming up next. So, for example, here's one. That's after the short intro there, Awakening, the first song hits you, and that's like new wave of British heavy metal, Iron Maiden. The riffs on that song can come straight off Power Slave. It was just an awesome track. And being a massive Iron Maiden fan, that hooked me straight away, and I thought, well, I've got to listen to this one. And it took me quite a few listens before I actually moved on to the next song. That's how much I loved it. Wow. And I thought, God, if this is what this album is like, mate, this has the potential to enter ghost territory in terms of rankings. Now, but that's the other thing. Don't get fooled because the mood changes so quick. The next track after that, Dark Side of the Cross, which was one of your standout tracks there, begins with a very, very Black Sabbath-y Tony Iommi riff there. And you see the singer Frida, like you mentioned, she's awesome. She's all over the place on his. She's got a very 70s approach to her vocals on this track, and I really like the backing vocals here because they just make the song sound so huge. The third track, and I'm not going to go through every track, but I just want to point out these two. The third track, The Wizard's Ball, has very early era Candlemass written all over it with its darker ambience, huge power choruses, great vocals again, and the vocals on this are very haunting, and absolutely loved it. And I guess that's where the doom comes in, or that doom element comes in. Because look, the band does it and they do it very well. So like I said, I'm not going to go through every single track, but I just wanted to point out that just there in those first 3 tracks, we've already seen new wave British heavy metal, we've seen classic metal, we've seen Candlemass, and that continues for the whole album. There's just so much happening here. So yeah, I mean, not much you can say. One thing I do want to do, I want to special mention to the singer Frida, like Brendan said as well. Yeah. She seamlessly flows from heavy rock to doom metal to classic rock to almost folk-like melodies, which I think I mentioned as well. She sounds, she can sound horrifyingly dark and still makes you want to mosh at the same time. When I listened to it, and it's funny because we didn't collaborate on any of these, but you mentioned Jefferson Airplane, was it? Yeah. I hear very Grace Slick influence in it. I hear Janis Joplin, and I hear very Shannon Denadell from Riven Temptation, so like your Nightwish reference as well. She's awesome, mate. She's one to actually watch out for, as is his band. Overall, I really enjoyed this record. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. And the standout tracks for me were Awakening, The Prisoner, Dance Macabre. Their Dance Macabre, not the first one.
That was
and
funny.
Left is right and right is left behind.
Okay, cool. Well, when it comes to putting together what we're going to do every week, I take some of my choices from Spotify, and that's where this one came from. They've only got like 1,500 followers on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
And I found this one through my Spotify algorithm.
Yeah.
This one opens up with a nice little dark instrumental. It sets the tone nicely for what's going to come up next. This has some great classic tones and groove going on. I love the riffs and the guitar work. It's psychedelic, but it fucking rocks. Frida Uranius, I hope I got that right. She has a fantastic voice.
Yeah.
I love the way she delivers on this. Great conviction, and she has a certain style about her vocal that's all her own. The production serves that aspect really well. I love the way she echoes through to the front, which is what you talk about, the wet reverb being applied to her vocal, but it doesn't cut through too hard. It fits into the sound wall really well.
Yeah.
The production is good overall. It really suits the style and uses the depth and the space wonderfully. About the only knock on that is the drums. The bottom end of those sound good, but the cymbal hits were a bit too watery and just sizzle a bit too much for me. I found it a little bit distracting. Nothing bad, just me being picky as always. But I love the vocal production and the guitar and bass tones. They are all really well done. The album has some nice modern tones, but there are bits that are certainly inspired by vinyl at the same time, that approach to vinyl. Great balance of the old world and the new in that regard. And there's some decent hooks in this as well. Like, some of these songs will get stuck in your head without having an explicit hit for radio. Like, they just get stuck in your head. At least not radio here anyway. I don't know what it's like over in Sweden, but not for here. And I love the lyrics on this. They were so well crafted. Great composition. The use of space in that aspect works really well. And the groove they use, the differences in the groove as well, they really break out the album really nicely. This will be intriguing to see live. I'd be really curious to see it live. There's some nice solos in here as well. Nothing too flashy, but it just serves the song. It's really nicely done. And there are some nice classic fade-outs on the songs, which is another nice little vintage touch. Hints of early Black Sabbath, dot this one here and there as well, which I found really cool. And these guys have a great knack for building songs up nicely. Each song has different atmospheres on them, but they all fit together. I love the darkness on this one, but there's also a great amount of beauty in it as well. Like you were talking about how she can be sort of horrifying, but at the same time it's mesmerising.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
look away. It's the old Medusa kind of thing where you can't not look.
It just draws you in. It's ridiculous.
Or in this case, you can't not listen.
Yeah.
There are a lot of bands doing or moving along this line genre-wise these days, but this is done damn well, and the vocals alone cut this band away from the pack in a big way. Some pure talent here. This is very well done, great listen, holds up well on repeat listens as well. I enjoyed this one. If you like psychedelic rock built around solid riffs and great vocals, then check this out for sure. 8.5 out of 10. Dark Side of the Cross, Shattered Hopes, The Prisoner, and Labyrinth of the Mind. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think.